the Center for Spiritual Living for allowing the use of this beautiful sacred space. And to thank Stephanie Usher for helping organize the event. I want to thank Rose Jenkins from Pathfinder Magazine for posting a wonderful article on Dr. Werner and an ad about the event. I am honored to introduce Dr. Scott Werner, who has come with his wife Vicki all the way from Utah to share his wisdom and important information with us tonight. It wasn't that difficult to get him here. He likes St. Louis a lot. He studied at St. Louis University where he obtained his medical degree. He practiced as an obstetrician and gynecologist for many years, having delivered 2,000 babies successfully. I think those are holy hands. He has also raised 10 children. But now he heals via homeopathy, herbs, and other higher means through his innate and developed gifts and the guidance of many angels and saints who are helping us in our ascension and helping change the earth. Those are his words. Dr. Werner has had 2 near-death experiences when young. He returned with the inner knowing of his role to assist in the healing of humanity. He is on a mission given to him by Master Saint Germain, the divine alchemist, a member of the spiritual hierarchy guiding us through the Aquarian age. Some of you may be working already with the violet flame, using it as a powerful tool of transmutation. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Saint Germain, I brought an image of him alongside Master Jesus. Saint Germain is the Chohan of the 7th ray. This image is actually from a book, Mysteries Revealed by Ray Ballard. Saint Germain is very present and he's working with many people at this time. So. Dr. Werner is an enlightened soul, an extraordinary healer, and a compassionate, kind, fun, and funny guy, as you will learn in a few minutes. He has lectured extensively throughout the United States. He has also authored 3 books, Take Back Your Health, The Next Step to Human Evolution, and Breakthrough. Please welcome Dr. Werner.
I move around a lot, so I'm grateful this doesn't have a chord. I started out, doing speeches with a chord, and then it's very fun. Thank you so much to all the people who came tonight. Thank you for a beautiful facility. Thank you for taking time out of our busy lives. I know that all of us are busy and we've got a lot to do. I was talking to Catherine and my class reunion is tonight, but you guys are more important. Because if I went to my class reunion, they probably would say I've sent me to the psychiatrist and tell me I was crazy. So I'm grateful to be with a group who believes in these spiritual things. And my prayer is that I give you information that will help you and assist you in the ascension. Because that's what's coming up here in a few years. I'm going to start with telling you a little bit about who I am. When I was young, I could see auras, but I would say things like, boy, you look really dark today. And they would start beating me up. And in fact, one kid at the age of 6, I told him he looked like he had entities around him, and he took a hoe and used those entities to bash my head in with a hoe, and I actually had a scar go right across my head. And when my parents took me to the hospital, the doctor says, I said, sure, and he put a mirror up, and I could actually see my brain, which was pretty interesting. So you got to be careful what you say around people, and I learned that very early in life. So by the age of 13, at 13 I was going down a bad path, and had a near-death experience at the age of 13. I came back from that experience not wanting to drink or smoke or do anything bad anymore. In fact, I wanted to be a good student and And I knew I was supposed to do something important and go to medical school. And then I had an angel come to me and told me to go ahead and join the Mormon church. And he said, now, you need to teach the teachings of Christ and not necessarily the doctrines of the church. And so I actually went on a mission at the age of 20. Actually 19, I left, and I went to Puerto Rico and learned Spanish, which was, every step in my life has led me to where I am now. And so it was very fortunate because I've talked to a lot of Spanish-speaking people, and luckily I can understand them better than I can talk. But anyway, at the age of 20, each time I had a near-death experience, I was born with the vision. I could see people's auras. Then at 13, I could hear voices. Now my brother was schizophrenic. He could hear voices too, except he listened to the dark side. And so it was quite fascinating. He got in a lot of trouble from listening to the dark side. And so watching what happened to him, I chose to only listen to the light. And at 20, when I had my near-death experience, I was hit while I was pedaling my bike in Puerto Rico, and a car ran into me about 60 miles an hour, and I don't remember hitting the telephone pole. But apparently, I wrapped my body around this telephone pole, and they took me to the hospital, and I woke up with a sheet over my head. And so I threw the sheet off when I woke up and sat up, and the nurses just kind of got a little excited. Estaba muerta. And I'm like, oh, I'm alive. And they're like, oh, you don't speak English. But it was quite fascinating. Heard things, and I knew things in my mind, which was quite fascinating. And then at the age of 45, I went on a hike up a mountain called Half Dome. And about 2 miles from the top, I actually had a heart attack. And I was expecting this big one, believe it or not, because I had had rheumatic fever at the age of 5, and I'd had quite severe mitral valve prolapse, and my tricuspid valve wasn't functioning well, so I had regurgitation, and my heart had been enlarged. And it was quite fascinating because I was told I needed to have an experience, and boy, did I ever. I started getting, the chest pain, the pain going down my left arm. I was hiking with a good friend who had retired from the LA County Sheriff's Department. He looked at me and said, Scott, you need to lay down. You're having a heart attack. I'll go up and have them send a helicopter to you. Because quite a few people, believe it or not, have heart attacks on this hike. It's very arduous. And so anyway, I laid down on the ground, and my daughter stayed with me. She said I turned purple and quit breathing, and she was like, whoa, my dad's dead. And so anyway, when I laid down, I heard this voice say, you need to take your energy back. And I was like, okay, I feel pretty good, because when you're dead, you actually don't notice that you don't have any energy. And so I said, what do you mean? And the voice said, you're giving 65% of your vital force to your wife. At the time, I was not married to Vicki. And it was fascinating because I was going through a divorce because my wife was not supporting me in my spiritual path, and Jesus had come to me and said, you need to get divorced. Being a Mormon at the time and having been married in the temple, we don't believe in divorce. So I was fighting this really hard. And what ended up happening was the Spirit said, you need to let go and take back your energy, or you won't get off this mountain today. And so here I am, I'm going, okay, what does this mean? And so basically what happened was I said, I take back all my energy, and immediately I received energy. And I sat up, scared my daughter to death, and we started running up the mountain. And let me tell you, from going from a be dead, having a heart attack, and then running up the mountain was quite incredible. And Half Dome is very steep. When you go up the dome, you're literally going up an angle of 70 degrees. Not quite 90, 70 degrees. And it's very hard. They've got these cables that you have to pull yourself up with your arm strength, not just your legs. And I was running up there so fast, and I literally was going up so fast, people were just clapping, going, wow, look at this guy going up the mountain. And here I've been, maybe dead maybe 10 minutes ago. And I get almost to the top, and my friend's coming off the top, and I say, go back up and tell him not to send the helicopter, I'm fine. And he's like, Scott, how the hell did you get up here? And it was quite an experience, but there's a lot more to it than what I said, but I don't have enough time to go through a lot of this. But let me tell you, I was given a new heart that day. I haven't had a murmur, I haven't had chest pain, I haven't had a problem in 14 years, which is pretty dang amazing. So miracles do happen. And I've seen many, many miracles. Now let's get to the next part. I was able to move forward in my life, and I actually started doing things, that were more like what you do. We started attending the Unity Church and going to various things. We almost moved to South Carolina. The Spirit was like telling us to move there. And we put our house up for sale, and we flew to Charlotte, North Carolina, because we thought we were supposed to move. And when we got there, I always have to have a reason, a write-off for the business. And so I arranged to do intuitive readings at an herb store there in North Carolina, in Charlotte. And when we got there, we had 56 intuitive readings with different people, and the 8th person that came in literally came in like this. She was dragging her leg, and her face was down, and it was quite fascinating because she said to me, "You've come to heal me." And I was like, oh, okay. When people directly say something like that to you, you look at your life and you go, can I do this? Can I help this woman heal? Because true healing comes from within, and this woman had the faith. And yet, and the first thing that came to me was, you had a stroke at the age of 3. And she said to me, I had 3 strokes at the age of 3. I've got sickle cell anemia, and it hit me, and it made my body, half of my body is paralyzed. But Jesus told me you would heal me today. And I'm like going, whoa, this is going to be a tough one. And I use this technique where I visualize the perfection within a person, and I bring their energy tubules in, and I visualize the perfection within that person. So I closed my eyes and I start doing that, and I start hearing this ooh and ah and whoa, and I open my eyes and she's standing erect. Her face is totally perfect, and she was perfect. And all I could do was say, praise the Lord, it was a miracle. And the next day, we went at the hotel. We wanted to go to church, and get involved with the community. And we picked a church off the internet. Our intuition, we picked it, and that was the Unity Church of Charlotte. And we went the next day, and as we were walking in, there was a woman in a wheelchair. She was sat down, and I noticed, and I could smell her feet, and she had gangrene on her feet. And we walked up and we sat down, and they actually taught about the beginnings of the Unitarian Church, Unity Church, of how the woman had consumption, which is tuberculosis, and she was dying. And she prayed to Jesus, what do I do? And she decided to put a chair in front of her and visualize Jesus in front of her, and she would sit down and he would heal her every day. And she got better and better and better. And her husband was atheist, and he watched her heal herself. And so he had been crippled, ran over by a wagon or something, and his hip had totally been damaged, and he had to walk with a cane, and he wasn't that old either. And he said, "Do you think I can get healed like you got healed?" And she said, "Jesus will heal everybody, you know." And he really didn't believe in Jesus, but he believed in his wife, and he saw how she healed herself. And so he sat with the chair in front of him and had Jesus heal him every day, and he actually healed his hip, and he was able to walk, and they were the ones that started the Unity Church. So this lecture happened, and so it was, a very appropriate lecture, in my opinion. And at the end, they said, "Oh, we've got some new people. Would you like to introduce yourselves?" And Vicki introduced us, and I was inspired to teach a breathing method. And so I started doing the breathing method and finished up, and then the pastor, we had the closing song and prayer, and we started walking out, and the lady in the wheelchair grabbed me, and she said, "You've come to heal me." And I'm like, well, we did it yesterday, maybe we can do it today, And so I told her I will do what I can. And so I visualized her feet being perfect. I visualized the energy tubules coming back through space, dimension, and time, coming back to her and completing her and making her perfect. And lo and behold, the gangrene disappeared from her feet, which to me was like, I used to be a medical doctor, and these kind of things don't happen. And she stood up and started walking. And the pastor, who was a woman, she says, "We're really glad to have you as a part of our congregation." But the interesting thing was, the feeling to move there went away. And so we went home, we took our house off the market, and we decided we weren't supposed to move. And so it was the prayers of those two people who actually brought us there, and I was just kind of a vector to help these people heal, but the true healing comes from within. I'm going to do some toning real quick and raise the vibration, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
And I'm going to set the microphone right here for a sec. This is kind of noisy. I'm going to do the heart chakra first. So just know you're going to be opened up, and the Spirit will lift us all. And this opens up the pituitary pineal and the thyroid, so. What we just did is something that I learned. Well, I was actually given a blessing 14 years ago from a guy by the name of J.J. Dewey in Boise, Idaho. And he was having John the Beloved come to him. And I wanted to know if it was real. John the Beloved was John in the New Testament, who was the brother of Jesus. And I've always been fascinated with Jesus and all the apostles, all the different beings of light. And so I drove clear up to Boise, Idaho. Oh, you're right. I drove all the way to Boise, Idaho, and up about 40 miles north to a cabin where JJ was at. And a woman answered the door, and she says, "You've come to heal us." And I said, "No, I came to see J.J. Dewey." And she opens up the door further, and there's 24 people in a prayer circle praying for healing. You know, diabetes, arthritis, Parkinson's disease, all kinds of maladies. And I said, you know, I really think I need to talk to JJ first. And she says, well, he's back in the kitchen, and he's been waiting for you. So I went back to the kitchen, and I said, are you really speaking to John the Beloved? And he said, yes, and he told me you were coming. And he told me to give you a blessing, and you're going to help heal us. And I'm like, holy cow. You know, a really interesting occurrence. And so he sat me down, and he gave me a blessing, and I'll never forget. He said, out of your mouth will come the healing sounds of God to heal the people on the planet. And I was like, holy cow. You know, this is interesting. So I was inspired to line everybody up with how sick they were. So I put the very sickest, there was a big window up in the front of the cabin, and I had the sickest line up in the front, and then line up according to how sick they thought they were. And I had everybody put their hands on their shoulders. And so we were all standing with our shoulders on, and JJ was next to me, and I did the toning. And it's fascinating. Everybody there healed that day. And, you know, so I've seen miracles, and it's not been because of me. It's been because of the Spirit coming through all of us. So thank you for being here. Now, I know you're all here to hear about the St. Germain story. And the St. Germain story actually started with me asking for the best herbalist in the world to come teach me about the herbs. And he came and he taught me about the herbs. But he didn't come with the name St. Germain. He came with the name Stephen Hennington. And it was really interesting because after those 4 years, I bought a book called St. Germain and Alchemy. And in that book, there's a picture of St. Germain. And this guy looked exactly like the guy in the picture. So I was like, holy cow. I feel like St. Germain's been teaching me. And he would teach me out of history and the origins of the herbs and when they started using them and when they started using homeopathics. He taught me about Dr. Hahnemann and all about the cycles of the atoms and the electrons and putting them into higher orbits to help strengthen the body through the homeopathic energy. And taught me about essential oils and all kinds of stuff. In fact, I knew so much about essential oils that Gary Young tried to get me to come work for him in a clinic he had built in Springville, Utah. And when he asked me, my intuition said, it's going to be gone in 6 months. And so I decided not to work for him, and sure enough, the feds hit him in 6 months and closed his clinic, and he was doing a very good job. So anyway, along comes about 2006, I learned transcendental meditation. You know, I wanted to expand my awareness. And the second time I did the transcendental meditation, I went to the void, and it was like, whoa, there's nothing here. And out of the void, God created the universe. And so it's a kind of a cool place to go to, except there's nothing there unless you create it. And so I had some interesting experiences with that, and then I started doing other types of meditation, Vipassana and different things. And in January 2011, Maharishi came to me in a dream. And he said, go to Fairfield, Iowa, and heal my people. Detox my people is what he said. Detox my people. And so I thought that was really strange because, you know, he's kind of been, you know, all there. You know, this guy with this long beard, long hair. And so I thought that was really strange. And I went out that morning and went to work. And this lady called me from Fairfield, Iowa. And I had put her on a detox and helped her lose weight. And she said to me, Scott, if you'll come to Fairfield, Iowa, I've got 18 women here who would like to detox and lose weight. We'll pay you $100 each and fly you out here. And they arranged to have me stay with Jeffrey Smith. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jeffrey, but he's wrote, you know, the genes of deception and toxic the roulette book. Genetic roulette. And so I stayed with him, and I learned all about Monsanto and all this stuff. And systemic formulas had developed a really good detox. And so I brought that information and put a lot of people on that detox, and it worked really, really well. And people got rid of their Parkinson's, we got rid of a lot of their diseases, their chronic inflammatory diseases. And I was quite pleased, and the people were really pleased. And so I thought, oh boy, this is what I should be doing. And I went in May of 2011, and then we went to Europe that summer, and had some really interesting spiritual experiences there. And when I came back, the comet Elenin was coming around the Earth. September 26th is when it came between the Earth and the Sun, and it actually, a lot of the Christian groups thought it was going to be the 3 days of darkness, because this comet was pretty big. And it dissolved, and I went out, and that's when I started doing the high-pitched toning that I do. And I call it laser toning because I actually can use it to open up women's fallopian tubes so they can get pregnant and do surgery on the pineal gland, and without doing surgery. It's the voice, it's the energy of the toning. So I kept going back to Fairfield twice a year, and the people were doing really, really well, and I was really happy. Maharishi was happy wherever he is, and all of a sudden people start getting sick again. And what had happened was the agronomists were being taught to put even more glyphosate on the crops to desiccate them very rapidly for harvest. And they had built a couple of silos just east of Fairfield. And when they put the grains in, the dust of the glyphosate would come down on all the people, and it was toxing them up again. And so I had a lecture, and I was teaching, and they're like, well, what do we do now? You've been detoxing us, we felt good, and now we're getting toxed up so bad we're starting to feel crappy again. And so I said, I don't know, but maybe it will involve us evolving. And I didn't know exactly what I was saying because I really didn't know the answer. But I did say, it's going to involve the humans evolving. And so I wasn't really sure what to do, though, because I didn't know how to evolve everybody. I knew how to heal and do different tonings and different healings and different visualizations, but I really didn't know anything about human evolution except that I knew our DNA was breaking down because of the toxins and the radiation coming from Fukushima and all of the things going on. So I went 6 months. I usually get answers really fast because I have claircognizance, and I would ask, I'd say, hey, what are we supposed to do? And I would get nothing. And I was getting kind of upset with myself because I wasn't getting an answer. And so I went 6 months, and I didn't want to go back to Fairfield without an answer. And so my sister-in-law got a gig speaking up at Mount Shasta. And I had always wanted to go to Mount Shasta, and that summer I had read about the Telos. And so, it was my objective to go visit with the tall Telos people. And anyway, I ended up being able to speak at this conference called the Convergence in Light. And it was so fascinating because we drove all the way to Shasta, and Shasta is just magnificent. How many of you here have been to Shasta? It's a beautiful, beautiful mountain, and the energy there is just like, when I got there, we got there really early in the morning, and I had a little vision of the opening to the mountain for the Telos to go down into the mountain. And so I wanted to find the entrance. And so we arrived at the city park where there's a spring, and I was told in the vision that it's at the headwaters of, the what river is it? Merced River there. And so these were the headwaters. And so I thought the entrance would be there. So I hiked all over around in there, and I couldn't find the entrance, and I was getting frustrated again. And so I came back to the headwaters, and there was this little old guy with a long beard, long white hair, and a cap on, and I was really drawn to talk to him. And I went up to him and I said, "Where's the entrance for the Telos?" And he just started laughing at me, because, you know, I bet he gets a lot of people asking that question. And he said to me, "You're in the wrong place. You need to go to the headwaters up on the upper meadows, the upper Panther Meadows up on the mountain." And he described exactly where it was, and he told me where the entrance was. You know, you go about 200 yards to the northwest and you'll find it. So I jumped in my truck and I ran up on top of the mountain, and I found the rocks, the place that I'd seen in my dream. And I sat down and meditated, and I asked them through telepathy, because I do that all the time with dogs and cats and rats and all kinds of stuff. But and they told me, they said, "We will not open the entrance today because we don't want other people seeing it," because there was quite a few people around. And literally the rock on the left side of where I was meditating is the one that comes up on a fulcrum and will open up so you can go down in the mountain. But they told me, "Come up tonight and we'll bring you in." So I was like, "Oh, okay, so I might as well go down the mountain and, you know, take care of stuff and come up tonight." So anyway, I'm kind of a loony bin. I mean,
I'm getting that.
my wife puts up with me so much. And so that night they had a didgeridoo, and this guy by the name of Three Tree played, and he did some music, and he'd come up, how those things sound, and boy, it was hitting my heart and hitting my intestines and all of my chakras, and I was just like, whoa, this is cool stuff. And then he started beating on the drums and doing different things, and you know, it just put us into another space. And it made me very tired, so I went up and I went to sleep. And then I woke up. I usually wake up at 3 in the morning, and the guides come and teach me different things, and I meditate and I pray for people that I've working with. And anyway, so I woke up and I got up and I was real antsy, and I decided, okay, it's time to go up the mountain. So I went walking outside, and all of a sudden this lady appeared to my side, and she asked me what I was doing. I said, "I'm going to go up on the mountain." And she said, "You know, you might not come back out." And I was like, what? And so I was kind of freaked out by what she said. And so I got in my truck, I sit down, and I go to turn on the key, and I'm like, I might not come out. I might not come out. Vicky wouldn't like that very well. She likes me to come home. And so I decided not to go up, because, and it was really weird, because I got out of my truck and I looked around trying to find her, and she was gone. It was strange, but it did keep me from going up that night. But anyway, I kept asking the question, what do we do about all the toxins, petrochemicals, nanobots, all the different things that's afflicting us currently? And during my lecture, I walked in, and there was this lady sitting with some books and CDs and some different things she had made, and I was very attracted to go talk to her. And so I stepped over, and she started speaking to me in a really different language, and I could understand it, and I was like, what the heck is this, you know? And she started speaking to me in Elven. And Elven is the most spoken language in the universe, I came to find out. And somehow I understood. She said, "Greetings from the King of the Elves. We are so happy that you want to clean up the planet. and we appreciate you and we love you for that. And I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? But her name's Jamie Price, and she actually brings in messages from the elves all the time. And so, yeah, we're living in the age of J.R. Tolkien and all of the different things, you know. A lot of these beings of light want to come back to our planet, but it's way too toxic right now. And so we need to clean it up, and they were glad that I want to help clean it up. So, Marilyn Harper was in charge of the conference. Does anybody here know who Marilyn Harper is? Okay, very good. Yeah, she's quite the gal. And she did something to me that kind of changed me. And I don't know what it was, but I do know what was important for me to receive this change within my system in order to receive what was going to happen in a couple of days. So the conference finished up, and we had a couple of days of just interesting people. B.J. King taught there, and she's quite a character. And apparently she's the representative for the Galactic Command and the Federation. That, you know, and I'm sitting here going, well, this sounds a little Star Trek-y to me, you know? And I loved Star Trek growing up. And so we got done with the conference, and I still didn't have an answer. So I had Cindy, Vicky's twin, drive the truck, and I got in the back, and I just started meditating and questioning and just trying to get deep into the void even to figure this out. And we ended up in Reno, Nevada that night, and I was very antsy. I just had this energy. I just couldn't go to bed. And finally, 12 midnight came around, and I decided I've got to go to bed. So I went and laid down and finally fell asleep. And at 2:22, I woke up in the morning. I know because I looked at the clock, and it said 2:22. And I felt this energy at the foot of the bed, and I looked down there, and there's this violet flame starting to come at the end of the bed, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then within it opens up this white energy, and a man starts walking through and comes to the edge of my bed and wiggles the big toe on my right foot. And I'm like, whoa, who's this? And he says, I am Saint Germain, and I've come to you with an answer to your question. You had the answer, but you didn't have the method. Human beings need to evolve. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, you know. And so then for the next 2 hours, he started talking about that we are the creators, that we actually, the human beings who first came to the planet actually had 24 strands of DNA. And through doing different things, which God told us not to, we had lost a lot of the DNA by combining with species who only had 2 strands of DNA. Now, when you take a species that has 12 or 24 strands, the mother and the father seed has 12 strands each. This is genetics. We only have 2 strands, so the mother gives 23 chromosomes through 1 strand of DNA, and the father gives 23 chromosomes with 1 strand of DNA. And what Saint Germain was talking about was 12 strands in 1 gamete in the sperm and 12 strands in the egg, and they would come together and make 24. But when we combined with the species, the lower species, we only were able to combine 1 to 1, so we ended up losing 22 strands of DNA. And a lot of people feel like it was the Anunnaki downgrading us, turning us into slaves. You know, there's a lot of theories about what went on, but Saint Germain said we ended up with 2 strands. Now, these 2 strands were still perfect, but they were much less than having 24 strands. So he described, you know, how Marduk, which was a planet between Mars and Jupiter, had a very, they called it Eden because it was a beautiful green planet full of lots of plants and food and didn't have weeds. It was a beautiful place, and it was a very easy place to live because you just went out and grabbed your food off the trees that grew spontaneously, and all the, we didn't have to go out in our gardens and weed, it just produced it. And he described how they blew up the planet because they went more scientific and became less spiritual, just like Atlantis. And so, and described a whole bunch of stuff within 2 hours. And at the end, I was like, my mind was boggled. And he said, and now I want you to listen to Melchizedek. No. I'm like, what? And Melchizedek came walking through, and Saint Germain walked out. So for an hour I was lectured to by Melchizedek, and he reiterated what Saint Germain said and said some other things. And then he said, I want to introduce you to Zapkiel. And Zapkiel walked in, and Melchizedek walked out. And so for 4 hours I was taught. And let me tell you, it's mind-boggling when this happens, because you're going, well, number one, you're going, am I just freaking out and dreaming, or what's going on? And it was fascinating because when everything got done, I was so wide-eyed and bushy-tailed I couldn't go back to sleep. And Angela woke up, who's Vicky's other sister, and she said, who were you talking to last night? Because she had woke up and seen Saint Germain, but somehow he just kind of went, ooh, and put her back to sleep. It was, because if it would have been me, I would have, who the heck is this? I want to hear it too, And so it was quite fascinating how everything happened. But 5 months went by. Saint Germain told me I was supposed to write a book about this and start teaching the people. Well, being the crazy guy I am, I'm too busy to write a book for Saint Germain. Kind of a bad choice. So he came to me and he said, Scott, it's time. You should have had this book written by now. And I said, well, I don't have time. And he said, well, you're going to have to make time. So I said to Vicky, Vicky, I need 3 weeks. I need to go write this book. And at the time, we didn't have a lot of money, so I said, Saint Germain, you're going to have to prepare the way. I just don't have the time. If I take 3 weeks off at the office, I'm going to lose that much money and I won't be able to pay my bills. So Saint Germain said, if you'll do this, I'll take care of you. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So anyway, so he said for me to get away, and he wanted me to go to Maui because I wrote my first book called Take Back Your Health, part of it in Oahu and part on Maui. And the energy there is just very creative. The creative juices just get flowing on Maui. And I had some marvelous experiences there, so I wanted to go back to Hawaii. And so we came to find out that we had bought enough product through the store, and I could have swore we didn't have these many miles on our Hawaiian miles card, but I had enough miles that it only cost me $5 to fly round trip to Hawaii and back. And that's to Oahu and then to Maui. We didn't have to pay extra. And so, and then I did an intuitive reading on a woman, and she was so grateful for the information and the healing that she says, is there anything I can do for you? And I said, well, I'm supposed to come to Maui, and she happened to live there. And I said, yeah, I'm supposed to come write a book, and Saint Germain's told me to come. And she's like, Saint Germain, I'll do whatever you need. And so she says, you can come stay in my ohana, and you won't have to pay me anything. And I'm like, really? It was way cool. Here it is. Everything's just falling into place. And when I got to Hawaii, she had literally put Saint Germain stuff all over in this ohana. It was like, holy cow, I haven't seen half of these pictures. And so every day I would wake up, and she had white sheets on the bed, and I would wake up, and there'd be this purple energy all around my body. And I was like, oh, I guess it's time to write. So I would get up and I would write. And it was quite fascinating. St. Germain is very kind. He would have me write for the morning, and then he'd say, time to stop and time to go play. And I was like, oh, okay, where do I go play? And he'd say, well, today I'm going to introduce you to such and such, this person and that person. And I actually met several people there. Who here knows who James Gilliland is? Oh, a lot of you, good. Anyway, I met him because St. Germain said he was having some health trouble. And the reason I mention his name is he told me I could say this. But he called me up, actually when I was still in St. George. St. Germain had sent him to me. And he said, I've got this horrible rash and it's eating my flesh. And I need some help because the doctors don't know what it is. And I tuned in and I go, oh my gosh, he's got nanobots eating his tissue. And I was like, nanobots? What the heck? You know? And so I tuned in and I made a homeopathic that would deactivate these nanobots. And I had learned down in Peru how to unstuff. So I used the energy to uncreate these nanobots. And so we did this for him. And it was really funny because in Hawaii, he was there the same time I was. And St. Germain says, call him up. He's over by the Temple of Peace. And so I called up James Gilliland, and we would go and we'd talk and we'd swim at a place called Baby Beach. How many people have been to Baby Beach? You got to go there because it's so calm and easy, and you know, babies can be out in the water and they won't get carried away off into the ocean. I actually had my son almost get carried off into the North Pacific from Turtle Bay. And kind of a scary occurrence, but it's a beautiful place. And fascinating stuff, though, and introduced me to many, many people. In fact, I did a lecture there, and some real famous people on the island came and participated in the lecture. And we were able to, start teaching the 24 strands through the Temple of Peace and through all the people there. So anyway, got protocol finished, thank goodness, and St. Germain was very pleased with me. So he said, now you need to go and teach it. And so what I'd like to do with you tonight is teach about now what St. Germain has taught me is that developing 24 strands of DNA in our body is a part of the ascension process. When Jesus was taken to the mountain and he took Peter, James, and John 30 days before he went through the resurrection, the crucifixion and the resurrection, he took Peter, James, and John up to a mountain, and angels appeared all around Jesus, and his body started to glow. And that's documented in the New Testament. And St. Germain told me what happened was, the Catholic Church calls it the transfiguration of Jesus. And what actually happened was, Jesus had 24 strands of DNA during his process. That's why he was able to heal people faster and better than, any known man. And at the transfiguration, he received an additional 24 strands of DNA, because to ascend to the fourth dimension, you double it again. And then when he went to the fifth dimension, it doubled again. And so, how many of you have read books by J.J. Hertog? He has one called The Keys of Enoch. And when God created the universe, he created pyramidal structures. And guess where he put those pyramidal structures? Into our DNA. And so those pyramidal structures, I use a pyramid to charge up a lot of my herbs and homeopathics. And pyramids are amazing. The energy is fabulous. And it takes the chi and the prana and all the energy, and it will change with your intent to whatever you desire it to become. And so it's very powerful for healing, and it's powerful to put over your head. You know, you saw these people walking around with pyramids over their heads back in the 60s. Well, they knew what they were doing, even though the rest of us thought they were nuts. But very powerful stuff. And with 2 strands of DNA, we have a certain amount of pyramids. But when you form more DNA, you even get more pyramids and more energy, more power, more manifesting energy. So, the other thing that St. Germain taught was the telomeres. You know, whoever it was that named these telomeres on the ends of the DNA had it right. Telo means communication. Mere means dimension. So what do you think all these little telomeres do for us? They help us communicate with our interdimensional selves. Isn't that cool? And truthfully, when we have 24 strands, we can communicate with all 12 of the dimensions. Now, we live in a multiverse that has much more than 12 dimensions. And so when you get 48 strands, you're communicating with even more dimensions. When you get 96, you're communicating with more dimensions. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And so, you know, the universe is expanding still. And we are expanding with the universe. And we as humans, we are made in the likeness and image of God. And so we are supposed to expand with the universe. And this is part of the ascension. Does anybody have any questions about what I've been talking about? Interesting stuff. For me, as a geneticist, I'm always looking at it like, wow, this is pretty cool stuff, these genetics. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a wonderful lady who is a quantum physics brain physiologist.
Yes.
And there only are 10 of them in the United States, and she has activated my immortality gene and elongated my telomeres. And I asked her last time I went and saw her to please put me in the 5th dimension. And she, with all of her tones and everything like that, did it. And now I'm finding a real rough time to go into, anger and revenge and all sorts of negative things. I'm really finding it rough because I can just, more or less think about more positive things.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yes, it's lovely.
You know, what I noticed when I did the 24-strand DNA manifestation and I completed it, I noticed a lot of my personality defects disappeared, and you evolve into a higher vibratory being. Things like smoking and drinking and different things don't mean as much, and you're not as drawn to doing them because you're evolving. You're evolving into a higher being of light. Isn't that cool? And that's what's happened to you. And it's marvelous because it's something that will bring about the ascension. So what we're going to do now is we're handing out the 24-strand DNA manifestation given to me by St. Germain. And let me tell you a little story, though. About 3 months after I got the book written and done, I had a woman come to me, and I started talking about the 24-strand DNA, that she needed to do it. She said, oh, St. Germain already came and told me about that. And in fact, he told me to write the book. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, and he told me to come to you because I had fibromyalgia and I didn't have enough energy to write the book. So, St. Germain is visiting a lot of us and bringing the information in. And luckily, I got the book written because, he needed this information out to us. And we need to teach others. We need to give it out freely to others. We started a St. Germain Sanctuary in St. George, Utah, of all places. And so you can look at the temple and do St. Germain stuff. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, let's go ahead and read through the 24-strand DNA manifestation. Okay, so let's do the first paragraph together. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I call upon Mother Earth and Archangel Uriel,
the fire of God, the light of God, the archangel of divine wisdom, in the north and the ruler of elements of earth. I project gratitude, light, and love. I project my being, my energies, my thoughts deep into the magma and crystalline energetic structure of Mother Earth, yellow, purple, orange in color, asking for the assistance in bringing the energy of the creative magma and crystals up through my feet, up to the root chakra or coccygeal plexus, into the second sexual or sacral chakra, the plexus of creation.
Okay, let's stop for a minute. Uriel is the fire of God, the light of God, the archangel of divine wisdom, and he's the archangel of the north and the ruler of the element of earth. So we project our energy down into the earth first and bring that energy up, because our bodies are made of the dust of the earth. And we bring it up into our root chakra and into the sacral plexus. Okay, let's go to the next verse.
I call upon divine creative source and the archangel Jophiel, the beauty of God, the archangel of creative power and illumination, the guardian of the tree of knowledge, with archangel Uriel, light of God. I reach and project gratitude, light, and love high into the heavens, calling forth the golden white light from source energy, bringing down the golden white light through my cerebral chakras, down through the heart chakra, adding love from my heart, and down to the sacral plexus or creative center, just above the pelvic bone.
Let's stop there for just a sec. He taught that we go up to source. You know, Vicky does regressions, and anytime anybody dies, where do they go? They go back to source. Source energy, which is very important. It's where we all came from. Our souls all came from source. The physical body has come from the planet Earth, or whatever planet we live on. And so it's important to remember that creative energy comes from source and bring it down into the sacral plexus. Let's go to the next verse.
I call forth Archangel Zaphiel, keeper of the orange flame of creation, the angel of ecstasy and compassion, to bring the creative energy of the orange flame into the sacral plexus, with the intent of creating 24 strands of perfected DNA for the celebration of our existence.
Let's stop. I have a little story I want to tell you about Zaphiel. Did I tell you about how when I was at this house, the house was called, we called it the Arkansas House, because there was 18 people from Arkansas, and there was like 8 other of us from other states. This card, Zaphiel, and I had been told by a psychic that somebody had stole my creative power. And so when I looked at it, I thought, oh, no wonder I'm attracted to this. This is the orange flame. And so I wanted to get my orange flame back. And so she says, well, take and put the cards underneath and stand on it. So she said, take off your shoes and stand on it. So I took off my shoes, I stood on the card, and my feet started just burning. And I had to jump off because it was hurting my feet. And she just started laughing. That's the card you need. Get back on there, you know. And so I got back on, and it was painful. And within about 5 minutes, the pain went away, and I felt this wonderful energy entering into my sacral plexus. Isn't that cool? You know, it relit my orange flame. And so things happen for purposes to teach us. And this taught me some very valuable information that our creative chakra, you know, we create babies down there. I was an OBGYN, I knew where they came from. At least I thought I did. And so I didn't know where they came from. So anyway, but it's important that we know we create everything spiritually first through our intent, and then it goes on. Now, next, let's go to the next paragraph that starts with the star children. You ready? I call in the star children, keepers of the perfected 24 strands of perfected human DNA, with the intent to manifest the 24 strands of DNA in my sacral plexus, in the second sexual and creative chakra, in every cell in my body. As I place the 24 strands of DNA into every cell of my body, I intend to perfect my body, bones, blood, lymphatic system, nerves, organs, hormones, glands, proteins, telomeres, organelles, carbohydrates, arteries, veins, immune system, adipose tissues, cell membranes, mitochondria, and every other cell in my body at a quantum level, manifesting the perfection of the original humans. The star children, who here has dealt with star children? They're being born. Every baby being born right now is a star child, believe it or not. You know, we went through the crystal children and different things. Now the star children are coming through, and they're here and being born to help us all through the ascension. And they're bringing perfected DNA. And they are the keepers of the perfected DNA. And so that's why they're important. Go ahead.
So what are your thoughts on how heavily they're being pharmaceuticalized right now for young children?
You know what's interesting? I worry about our children. But now with the message from St. Germain, they're coming in and they're going to be so evolved. The chemicals aren't going to hurt them. The radiation isn't going to hurt them. They're being very this time. And they're helping us to withstand it.
When did this start, the babies that are...
According to St. Germain, about 3 years ago.
So what 2000?
2013. 2012, actually, the first came through. From what I've been told, it was 12, 21, 12. You know, and that started that generation. So very close to 2013. So let's go to the next. I reform the 24 strands into 12 double helix, connecting 2 strands each into a rotated, connected, perfected, spiral, double-stranded DNA with perfected telomeres at the ends, acting as a little antenna, transmitting perfection from the quantum field and source energy into each and every cell of my body to rejuvenate, revitalize my body to a perfected, eternal state of health and fitness. So, one of the things St. Germain taught is these original humans, they were bound, the 24 strands were bound into 12 double helix. Now the double helix are the twisted, energetic DNA, and they're actually longer than this. And the telomeres are at the very ends, they're just kind of an extension. Now the DNA, you know, the adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine are the different amino acids that are part of the DNA. And as we take them, we reform them into the double helix. And the double helix is the keeping of how we keep our DNA and keep it together. And then we take and we braid it, and we do that in the next one. Now, why is the double helix important? Because when you put that rotated double helix together, St. Germain says that is the generator for our bodies and our cells. In fact, he led me to a study where the scientists put DNA outside the cell, just DNA itself, into a petri dish. And then they watched it. You know how scientists are. They're a little bored, and so they just watch things. And they found that it produced energy. And they were like, how's this producing energy? And so they watched it for a while, and it kept producing energy, and even though it wasn't even in a cell. And then they took the DNA out of the Petri dish, and they found there was still energy being produced in the Petri dish without the DNA. And they thought, well, how was this? The DNA was producing the energy. But what they came to find was the DNA produced little wormholes that brought energy in from other dimensions. Isn't that fascinating? When I read that article, I was like, whoa, this is cool. So anyway, so just know your DNA is producing energy for you. And just think, if you're really tired and wiped out and you have problems, guess what's going to happen when you manifest more DNA? It's going to give you more energy. It's going to give you more knowledge, more interdimensional communication. So let's read the next part. I braid these 12 double helixes into 24-stranded rope DNA in every cell of my body, including my blood and lymph, making me strong, invincible, indestructible, and impenetrable to all toxins, petrochemicals, nanobots, and radiation. My 12 double helixes connect me to the quantum energies of all other celestial realms. I am now connected and integrated to all my divine interdimensional beings in the multiverse. Let's read the next sentence. I am now an enlightened being of light and love. So be it. So it is. Amen. I am. Now, why is it important to braid it, the 12 double helix? What St. Germain said is it protects it. Rope is stronger than the filaments making the rope. And if anybody's gone hiking and climbing and using ropes are much stronger when they're braided properly. And in fact, the way you braid the rope is very important. And the two strands of double helix braided with the other. You don't even know how to braid it. You just say, I braid the DNA. And it braids automatically, and it's strong. It's a strong braiding process. And the angels, the Elohim, the flames actually help this occur. So just know, you don't know how, I don't know how to braid hair, let alone DNA, but I found, and St. Germain said, it will braid perfectly for you without even knowing how to do it. So does anybody have any questions about what we just went through?
Dr. Werner,
Go ahead.
just please explain about reciting it once a day, 144.
Yes. At the top of the page, it says you need to recite it once a day for 144 days. Now, I had a guy down in Florida who recited it 20 times a day, and his wife calls me up and says, my husband's doing it all wrong, and he's running around the house. He's got way too much energy. And I was like, it can't be hurt him if he's running around the house, you know. But it was quite fascinating because he's actually doing very well. And his own intuition said to do it that many times a day. And when he says, what's he do when he gets all done? Well, you start manifesting them for others. When I went to Fairfield last April, they were very concerned about the political process. And they said, at the end, I opened up for questions, and they gave this, just, bluntly said, what do we do about Hillary and Donald? And instantly, St. Germain said to me to tell them, we manifest the 24 strands of DNA in them. It will help make them better human beings and help elevate their processes. So it'll make them better. Whoever gets in there, we'll see. But it will make them better people. And so we in a group from Fairfield have been manifesting the DNA into Hillary and Donald. So we'll see what happens. It hasn't helped much yet, but we haven't gotten to 140. Go ahead.
You also shared at that time that 90,000 people were reciting activation, and that when we reached 144,000, it would be like a...
Yes. Now, it's quite interesting. The question is that there was 96,000, actually, what it is, okay, so I don't want to give any bad information because I asked St. Germain about that. And what it is there, the Revelations, it talks about 144,000. What I actually learned from St. Germain is that we've got 96,000 ascended masters who lowered their vibration and came back to the planet to help teach people to raise the vibration. Once we get 144,000 of these ascended masters here, they're going to lead us through the ascension. And that's what's going on. Now, some of them have incarnated into bodies, and they're doing the 24-strand DNA, and it's bringing, see, they have to go through the same process we did. They had to lower their vibration, be born in a human body, but luckily they're more enlightened, and we have some of those people here in this audience. And so, thank goodness they're here to help us with the ascension. And St. Germain and all the healing masters, all of the ascended masters, they're all helping us with the ascension. Yes?
Yeah, this is a little bit off topic, but have you ever heard of an entity or being called Kalki?
No, I have not. I don't know anything about it. Go ahead.
Thank you. If I understand correctly, you said that the children being born now for the last 3 years, got 24 strands? Is that what
Yes, they're actually being born with 24 strands of DNA. And so they don't even have to do this.
all of them?
From what I understand, they are.
So when you do a genetics test, which is a popular...
Well, if you want the government to take and dissect them, go ahead and do it.
I mean, the genetic testing that you do by providing your sputum?
Yeah, a lot of people are doing the 23 thing, and, the 23 is a strand of DNA has 23 chromosomes. But I've been told by St. Germain not to give my DNA to the government or their entities, their corporations. Because, see, we're in a military government complex, and the cabal is still trying to maintain control of the earth and turn us all into slaves. And by manifesting our 24 strands of DNA, we're going to overcome that, because we will become better manifestors and stronger manifestors. All of the people I've taught this to, they're very happy because they're manifesting abundance, they're manifesting a better job, they're manifesting all kinds of stuff. If you think about it, you have 2 strands of DNA. You take and make 24, you have all this energy coming from the universe assisting you. And it literally brings you into the power. In the book Unveiled Mysteries, St. Germain helps teach the people how to become faster manifestors. Literally, St. Germain can stand there and produce a gold coin in his hand out of nothing. And he talked to me about how we as human beings have the spark of God in us. We are the creators. And we've forgotten who we are. And we need to bring that energy back into us so that we can create abundance, happiness, peace for all of us. And as you raise your vibration, as you get more DNA, you actually become a better human being. Go ahead.
When I was a teenager, I read some books called Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East.
Yes.
And they were talking exactly about that, like when they were walking, when these human observers were with them, they did not expend apparently any effort to walk through the mountains. And, when they finished a meal, they would just have whatever the cost was in their hands. So you're familiar with that series?
Yes. Those are a marvelous set of books. And I totally believe in those. And the masters of the Far East are the ones who, Jesus went into the Far East and learned from these people. And that's how he became a master himself. And, but having Mother Mary have 24 strands was a good thing too. Because there were people on the planet who did have more DNA than that's why Mother Mary was picked to be the mother of Jesus, because she had more DNA and she was a very powerful woman. Go ahead.
Yes, you have a physical exercise to manifest the 24 strands, which I've practiced. Which do you prefer, these affirmations or the physical?
What St. Germain has said is all we need to do is believe and have faith and put emotional energy into it. Because we manifest by having intent, faith, and emotion. He said those are the only things you need. You don't need to go through this. You can do your own thing. One of the ladies, I taught this in Hawaii, she actually did a recording, but she did it according to how she felt through her own intuition to do it, and it worked perfectly. So you don't have to do it this way. This is just what St. Germain taught me.
No, I was asking about the physical exercise that you teach to manifest the 24 strands.
Oh! You heard about that. Okay. Kundalini breathing is a type of exercise. And it basically, I've got it on the CD. And what it is you do breathing and the root block and all of that good stuff. And that actually makes it easier to create more energy in your body. But it's on the CD, so if you want to listen to it, it's there, but I'll teach it to you really quick. Is that what you'd like?
No, I know it.
Oh, you already know it. Now, this is kind of interesting because, with TM, they teach you the siddhas, and the siddhas teach you about the root block and about the breathing techniques and about the neck lock and, all the things that the siddhas do. And I was taught this by Spirit, actually before I learned TM. And anyway, what you do is you can be seated or standing, however you are most comfortable, and you breathe in, and push your pelvis forward and lock the root block. The root block is the pubococcygeus muscle, or the Kegel exercise, okay? So you do the root block, you breathe in, force your pelvic forward, and when you breathe out, you release the root block and let your pelvis go back. Then you breathe in again, lock that root block, force your pelvis forward, and then breathe out. Breathe in again. And you can do this 10 times. We're just going to do it 3. Hold that root block. Make it come up, up, up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Touch the roof of your mouth with your tongue, and that forces the energy up. And then roll your eyes up, and then lock it up in the 8th chakra. The reason I was taught to lock it in the 8th chakra is it stays pure, good energy up there. Now, let's take another breath. Now this is for the sacral plexus. With the sacral plexus, you not only bring the pelvis forward, but you force your knees even forward and lock the root block as you're breathing in. So let's breathe in, force that whole pelvis forward, and then breathe out. Breathe in, force the whole pelvis forward, and even the lower part of your back, lock that root block. And then release. Let's breathe in again. Lock that root block. Take it up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Roll your eyes up and put the energy. Lock it up in that 8th chakra. Now the next one, you twist to the right with the breath in, to the left with breath out. So let's breathe in. Turn to the right. Lock that root block. Hold it, and then breathe out. Breathe in, lock that root block, and then breathe out. Breathe in, lock that root block, center yourself, bring it up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue, and then roll your eyes up, and then lock it in that 8th chakra. Okay, I click my tongue because it puts a little energy, forcing it up through your cerebral chakra up into the 8th chakra. Okay, next we'll tilt to the right as you breathe in and tilt to the left as you breathe out. And a lot of people put their hands at their heart because this is the heart chakra level. So you tilt to the right and breathe in and hold that root lock and then breathe out. Breathe in, lock that root lock and then breathe out. Breathe in, lock that root lock, hold the energy. The root lock holds the energy so you can take it up, 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 up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Touch the roof of your mouth and roll your eyes up and lock it up there. And next we'll do the throat chakra. And with the throat chakra, you bring your hands up to the level of your throat and you lift your shoulders up as you breathe in and hold that root lock. Then breathe out. Breathe in. Lock that root lock. And then breathe out. And this one, we'll take it up. Lock that root lock. Take it up, up, up. Up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Roll your eyes up and lock it up in that 8th chakra. Now, the next one is the third eye. And with the third eye, you'll take and rotate your head to the right and go around. And as you're doing that, you lock the root lock and then you breathe out. So we'll breathe in, lock that root lock, come around, and breathe out. Breathe in, lock that root lock, and then breathe out. This one we'll take up, lock that root lock. Breathe up, 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 up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Take it up, roll your eyes up, and lock it up there. Now this one, the cerebral chakra, it's kind of, I call it the angel wing thing. And so what you do is you breathe in, bring your head back, but be very careful if you got back or neck injuries or problems, which will be corrected. Breathe in, lock that root lock, and then breathe out. Breathe in, bring your wings back, lock that root lock, and then breathe out. Breathe in, lock that root lock, bring it up, 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 up to the roof of your mouth with your tongue. Roll your eyes up and lock it up in the 8th chakra. Now, you've stored energy up there, and you can take and grab a hold of that and bring it down into your body to heal any part of your body, or you can give it to somebody else. Because you can make more anytime you want. You can just go through this process. And it will create energy that's perfect. One night, my wife's probably tired of me telling the stories about her, but she had moved her daughter, we had moved our daughter up to Twilla, and she went up to bring her back home. And she got about 100 miles away from the house, and she goes, Scott, she called me up on the phone, she said, Scott, I'm not feeling good, I can't drive any further. And I said, just hold on a minute, because I had stored this energy. And I took and I threw her the energy. And immediately, she received it and felt good enough to drive the rest of the way home. Pretty interesting how we can just throw energy to people with our intent. Same thing with this 24-strand DNA manifestation. You visualize it, and you do it, and it creates. And it gives you power from God for the ascension. Now, everybody know what the ascension is? Okay, let's talk about that, because it's real important that we know what the ascension is. It was prophesied years ago that the earth would go through changes. Oh, I didn't finish? Tell me the end.
No, did you finish all of the rest of it?
Yes, yeah, we got the 7 within the body. There's actually 12 chakras, but we're not going to go into that. The ascension, the earth and all planets go through cycles. And the universe is all about evolving. Not evolution like Darwin taught, but evolution of change and becoming something better. So we start out, as amoebas, whatever. and we are born and we experience things. Some of us have more troubles than others. And St. Germain sent me down to South America to discover how we can change ourselves from drug use, prostitution, pornography, all this stuff that's causing problems with humanity. And but we evolve. We're supposed to evolve and change and go into higher states of energy, basically. And the ascension, essentially, is that evolution point. For 26,000 years, the Earth has been going through a process. Actually, it's been going through many processes, but each process lasts 26,000 years. And we're at the end of a cycle of that 26,000 years. So those of us who are ready to ascend, we will move into a higher state of energy. And a lot of people call it a higher octave or a higher dimension. And there's a lot of us who aren't going to make it. We're not going to ascend, and that's okay. We'll just have to find another Earth to ascend on, because our Earth is actually going to go through the process and ascend into a higher vibrational state. So those of you who don't do or don't care, you'll just have to be reborn again and come back to a third dimensional world to live out your life until you decide you want to ascend. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So essentially, when Jesus told us that we would do the same as him or more, he went through the ascension. And he showed us that we can ascend. Interesting, huh? And he came to teach us love, and we all went, we don't want to learn about that. You know? And so we continued killing ourselves and doing all kinds of stuff. It's time to evolve and ascend. And so the ascension will take you to a higher level, a higher dimension, where you will not have to put up with all this duality stuff. You know? Because I've experienced the duality. And quite frankly, I'm ready to ascend. So I choose to move on to a better world founded on love and light, joy, peace, no more wars, no more contention, no more BS. You know, that's what I want. And it is possible. And we are ascending. Now, St. Germain sanctuaries teach about the ascension. And so we opened one up in St. George, and we have been learning about becoming better human beings and ascending and doing literally what the masters have taught us. Now, one of the other ways we ascend is increasing our DNA, but also we learn about the masters and how they changed their vibration. And we actually have them give up their vibration to us. And guess what that does? It helps us evolve and ascend. So the ascended masters have everything to do with our ascension. So get to know them. Get to know their names. Get to have a relationship with them. So when you say to them, please give me enough energy so that I too might ascend, that's what will happen. So thank you. One last question.
Does St. Germain tell you when the ascension will be? Will it be in this lifetime, or do you
Yes.
have time?
Oh, we're living in a marvelous time.
Like at what year? Or
Well, what he told me, and this has been a year ago, is 15 to 18 years. Now, I said, well, why the variation? He says, we want to give everybody the opportunity. But we need to help each other, you know, and teach each other about the ascended masters, because it's through their energy that we will be able to ascend. Okay? So thank you for coming tonight. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. And I bless you with your ascension. God bless you, each and every one.
Hello, my name is Reverend Mary Jean DeLasha. I'm a senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and I'm going to thank you also for being here tonight. And I want to give a Missouri thank you to our doctor here who has moved us to another place. Thank you so much for being here. Also, his book, The Next Step of Human Elevation by Dr. Scott Werner, is out in the lobby if you're interested in it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We also have the CD, and this has the decrees for protection and safety, which I think is also very good. And it's got the Kundalini breathing, the toning, and several other things. We've got a few copies, so if you'd like to get it, it's $20. We've got a DVD that has me giving an interview and teaches a lot of some similar stuff, but other stuff too. Thank you.
Thank you.